The middle card, that seems good. Some random trap. And, oh! Our boy has departed. Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're looking at Timaeus, the United Magidragon. More so the English copy and not the Chinese. Now this card is sensational at being useless. So when I say that, what I mean is this guy kind of doesn't have a place in the extra deck. He looks cool, he seems cool, but DM has a problem with fusions. Now with the Gaze of Timaeus being our newest fusion card, the DM deck's definitely taken a big pivot to focus on the fusions, which a lot of people, including myself, would say it already was. Yes, we've got rituals and some other things, but ultimately the fusions are the thing we have the most of. And let's just take a look at all the DM fusions right now. We have all 12 of them, and we've loosely ordered them on relevance or how good they are. Of course, Dragoon is the king. We all know that. He's number 1. That's why there's a 1 there. And it's also because he's a 1 in the OCG. But we switch to TCG. Damn, we can play 3 of this bad boy. The new guy, Dark Magician of Destruction, is so awesome and good. I think this card is, yeah, going to be a 2 of in most lists. I don't think you need more than 2 though, but we'll get to that in another vid. Master of Chaos, kind of seeing a resurgence from me. Maybe it's a bit too generous to have him in 3rd, but I think Master of Chaos with the new Gaze stuff is really good because you can 1 card into it and summon, out another guy, and just in the battle phase, this is going to be an insane card for pushing for game. Dark Magicians, you could argue, can do a similar thing, but only if it's popped in the battle phase, which we just don't have a way to do yet, so it's cool that we can 1 card combo with Gaze into these cards now, along with the Dark Magician, so technically 2 cards, but, Secrets was always use 2 cards to fuse, and then Secrets, so 3 card combo. Nice that we can 2 card fuse into these cards now, including the Dragon Knight. One good use for Dragon Knight here, he might even go up higher later. You can Gaze into Dragon Knight and just link it away, and then obviously you're playing around the whole, hey, that guy's going to banish himself, and then you can just Eternal Soul him back out, and you've got him forever then, which is really nice. You'll notice the first 5 fusions here, the bar is kind of high. Dragoon puts the bar high. This guy puts the bar like kind of here, and then these guys are a bit lower down, but they're okay, right? They're a bit more niche. As we go down the list, they get nicher and nicher, and you'll see I've got our friend here pretty much towards the end. So he's basically a retrain of Amulet Dragon, who you can see I've got near the bottom next to Dark Flare Knight, which is pretty much a useless fusion, unfortunately. I actually think Dark Paladin's better because of the Spell Negate effect, and now you can summon this easier. It's probably better than Dark Cavalry too. In a spell-based matchup like Sky Striker, this card could go hard. Just discard your whole hand and negate all their plays. But basically, the new Timaeus just isn't it, right? It just misses the mark. It's competing with cards like Dragoon, which are also a Dark Magician Dragon material. I know we have Gaze now, so the material's not as important anymore. It's competing with Dark Magician of Destruction. It's competing with Dragoon. It's competing with Master of Chaos in the battle phase. Like, it's just not gonna be very useful in my opinion. Let's talk about the main reason you'd want to play this card, and it's because everyone thought it would avoid that banish at the end of the end phase from Gaze of Timaeus. But no, that's not how it works at all. Let's jump into that right now. We'll talk about the rest of the fusions later as well. This is my first turn of the duel, and I'm just going to activate Gaze of Timaeus, and we're going to see what happens to the new Timaeus fusion on my opponent's end phase. So typically I say save your Gaze of Timaeus for the opponent's turn, where you can, use it more effectively, but in this case, we're going to ignore that, so we're going to just test out the Timaeus fusion, the Magidragon fella, and see what happens with the lingering effect with the Gaze of Timaeus to banish. Now, he does have the quick effect to pop a spell trap on the opponent's turn, which is interesting. I think we'll just hold it until the end phase, but it is cool that we have it. Here we are in the end phase. Let's use the Magi effect. We'll just go for the middle card. That seems good. Some random trap. And, oh! Our boy has departed. So I understand this is a simulator and some of you might be questioning it, but that is the correct ruling. Because if we read Gaze of Timaeus, we will find it is in Chinese. So here's the English copy on the screen now. So the Gaze of Timaeus in English states that the material must be banished during the end phase of the next turn. And this is what we call a lingering effect in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it has nothing to do with the card that it summons. The card that it summons basically gets this tacked on extra effect from the Gaze of Timaeus, basically saying, hey, do X when Y occurs. And the Y here being, hey, it's the end phase of the next turn, the X being banish that card. It does not care if the monster summoned has some awesome effect like can't be effect or unaffected by all card effects until the end of the next turn. It doesn't care about that because think of it as like a summoning requirement or a cost, if you will. What we have here is a perfect example of a lingering effect bypassing a card's protection, and card text. I know this is going to be a confusing one for a bunch of people because it does seem like, oh, the Gaze of Timaeus has a negative effect, oh, but we can get around it with the new fusion. It seems like that was the intention, but no, that's not how it works at all, so it's a little bit strange. So I hope I didn't burst too many bubbles this morning, but yeah, look, Timaeus, he's magic, but he doesn't stay on the field very long. A lot of people have been talking about this card because they think it does bypass that Gaze of Timaeus banish, and even if it did, is this really the card we want to be ending our turn on or summoning on the opponent's turn? I think the worst thing about this card is it's kind of just like a guy who sits on the field with a big attack stat. It's basically a vanilla a lot of the time. Yes, it does have an opponent's turn quick effect to pop a spell trap. That's nice, that's nifty. I'm not sure if that's enough for it to be part of the end board. It would be a nice complement to the end board. Say if you had Dragoon and this, that could be nice. But once again, you can just have 2 Dragoons, so it's hard to, you know. However, since this card doesn't need a discard for its negate, you could argue that Dragoon alongside the Timaeus Magidragon could be a nice end board. But once again, I'm not too sure on it. Let me know what you think about this fusion card down in the comments, because there's a lot of mixed opinions on it. And I think its main unique thing would have been avoiding the Gaze of Timaeus banish, which it doesn't. So there's no real reason, in my opinion, to have this in your extra deck. If you did, it would be like a one-of for like a tech, really. I'm sure there'll be matchups where the pop of spell trap's really good, like the Blue Eyes matchup. This is actually sensational there because it's unaffected. It attack boosts if Blue Eyes tries to attack into it, and it's also got the pop of spell trap. So as soon as that True Light's anywhere near the field, you can just be like, no, get it out of here. Alright, we've more or less got all the Dark Magician fusions here in order. Here's Dark Paladin, one of the OGs. This is kind of what Dragoon's been retrained to be, a better version of this. This card still has some merit now that we can summon it off the Gaze of Timaeus, because this guy just gains a lot of attack from dragons in the grave if you're in a dragon matchup, and most importantly, discard a card from hand to negate a spell activation and destroy it, and that's not once per turn. So if you got a card of like a hand of 4 cards, and you know, you gaze into this on your opponent's turn, banishing your, shuffling back your Dark Magician, and your opponent's playing Sky Striker, you're just going to go discard, 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 right? Unless they got Forbidden Droplet or Dark Ruler, you're kind of just chilling. Or a Kaiju or something, you know? Anyway, the next fusion's a little bit lackluster. It's my best pal, Dark Flare Knight. I love this card so much. What a sick art, sick anime moment as well. Sadly, this card does nothing. You'd never summon it nowadays, so we'll just move on to the next card. Amulet Dragon, this was the first one from the Waking the Dragons arc, the Seal of Orichalcamalos arc. This card's really cool, but it's not very good, and it's basically what the new Timaeus has been retrained to be. But we'll talk about this first. So Amulet Dragon has to be summoned with Eye of Timaeus or fusion summoned, and it's actually got a similar wording to our new Dark Magician of Destruction friend. Must be fusion summoned with the above materials or with Eye of Timaeus. So this card can't actually be special summoned from the grave either, just like Dark Magician of Destruction. So people who are questioning that, like, we already have a card for reference in our archetype that does it. But anyway, this card summon target any number of spells in the grave, minimum 1, banish them, and gain 100 for each banish by this effect. Then if this card's destroyed, target a spellcaster in grave, summon it. So the idea is you make this with Dark Magician, and then when it dies, you can summon back the Dark Magician. It's a good concept. Card was just very, very like late, and it just never helped the deck, and we only had Eye of Timaeus back then anyway. Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, questionably a better card. Must be fusion summoned with the above material with Eye of Timaeus once again. Once per turn, quick effect, send a card from hand to grave, target a face-up card on field, destroy it. This is pretty good. If it didn't have the discard, I feel like we'd actually play this. Like, it's not a bad card at all. Just along with Dragoon and this, it's like too much discard. But honestly, one of the better cards. Dark Magician Girl, Dragon Knight, kind of good. Just a little bit too hard to summon and discard bad. Anyway, Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. So they decided to give Dark Magician this really cool armor. And if you actually look at Timaeus, the United Magidragon, he looks like he's wearing a similar armor. Or at least this shield part from Dark Magician the Dragon, this shield part looks like a leg part from Timaeus the United Magidragon. Let me know if you noticed that too, because I was like looking at Timaeus' knee. Like, I've seen this before somewhere, this white with the green gemstone, and there it is on Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. So I thought that was pretty funny. Maybe we'll get a card in future that's the Dark Magician Dragon Knight wearing the armor while riding the Timaeus the United Magidragon, who's also wearing the armor, right? That could probably be the next Timaeus card. But anyway, you'll notice we've had a theme so far. There's 2 Dark Magician Dragon fusions, right? And this one's the better one because it came out later. That theme's going to happen for a bit. Dark Cavalry's up next. It's not a bad card per se. Similar to Dark Paladin, you can discard a card to negate whenever your opponent targets something on the field, which is quite good because you can just infinitely discard to negate if you have the discards. Not bad. Also gains attack for spell traps on field and grave. Also has piercing. Like, not a bad card at all. Just kind of missed its window, and needing a warrior material was weird for a while till we have Gaze of Timaeus. Now it's a lot better, but I don't know if we'll use it. Maybe there's a matchup where it's really good though. Dark Magicians. This card, it's so close to being like a staple. It's in a lot of DM decks, but like it's hard to summon. Well, sorry, it's the easiest fusion to summon, but it's awkward to summon. Because typically by the time you go into this, you've used 2 or 3 cards, and then you've got to use another card to get the draw. I feel like if the draw the card, and then if it's a spell trap, you can set it or use it that turn. I feel like if that was on summon as well as like in further turns, whenever a spell trap's activated, do it again, it would be a lot better, because by the time you get to this, you normally don't have another spell to use. Or like, you know, that's pretty much it. It's too many resources to then get 1 resource back. And you've got to spend like a 4th resource to get that resource, if you get what I mean. Typically, you go into this with 3 cards, right? Fusion card, Dark Magician, another card. Obviously, if you use Gaze, then it makes it 2 cards. But then it's banishing later, which sucks. So this card could have been perfect with Gaze if Gaze destroyed instead of banishing, because when this card's destroyed, special both DM and DMG from hand deck grave. So another reason Gaze really should have destroyed, not banished. But anyway, so yeah, this card could be good because it could help us set up Eternal Soul turn 1 and activate it as well, like Blue Eyes does. But once again, this should have been like a contact fusion, or this card should at least identify as DM and DMG in the grave, but it doesn't. So it's rough. It's rough. Then we get to the big boy, Dragoon. This is the best fusion we've ever got. Some people hate it for that reason, and sorry, but we gotta play the best card we've got, and this is it, Dragoon. A lot of the times, 99% of the time, Dragoon is the best fusion to make. Yeah, there's gonna be niche scenarios where maybe Master of Chaos is good, or DMs is good, or Dragon Knight's good, but like pretty much a lot of the time, this is the best card. And I think that makes this card, like, hated in the community. It's weird. A lot of people have commented on my new videos with the new support saying, oh, so we're just Dragoon Turbo now. It's like, well, yeah, we always were, for 1. And 2, like, is Invoked Mechaba Turbo? Is Fiendsmith, is Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon Turbo? Like, think about how dumb those things sound when you apply them to other archetypes. Like, yes, guys, we're gonna turbo our deck's best monster. That's kind of the concept of playing that archetype, right? Like, why are you getting mad at Turbo Dragoon in a Dark Magician or Red Eyes deck? That's the place not to get mad about it, you know? But anyway, those people are interesting. This card's insane. I don't need to say much more about it. It just does everything in the deck. The way we summon it nowadays with Gaze actually means it normally doesn't have pops, which is sad, but it's fine because it's easy to which is fine because it's easier to access nowadays. Which is fine because it's easier to access nowadays anyway, thanks to Gaze. Master of Chaos. This card and the rest in the queue suffer from the problem of being released after Dragoon. So, the first one's Master of Chaos, and if this card was a quick effect, it would be a lot better. You target a Light and Dark, special them on Fusion Summon, then you can tribute a Light and Dark. So when this card's Fusion Summon, you can target a Light or Dark Engrave, summon it back. You can tribute a Light and Dark, banish all monsters your opponent controls. Seems good, kinda needs to be a quick effect though. If this Fusion Summon card's destroyed, target a spell engrave, add it back. It's a good card mainly for pushing for game. In the battle phase, you Gaze or Secrets into this, summon back the card you used to summon it, like the DM, right? And this is like 5,500 damage, like, that's really good. So you can attack with a Dark Magician, Gaze with the Dark Magician into Master of Chaos and DM. That's lethal. Like, Gaze is a 1-card lethal on an open board if you have Souls and Gaze. Like, that's it. Thanks to Master of Chaos. I like that. I like the pushing for damage aspect of this card. The banishing the field is obviously really nice, but I feel like if your opponent has a field, like a monster board to banish, like, they're gonna have negates. But I guess this is really good against some of those jankier boards where maybe you baited out the negates and then you go into this, but yeah. Ultimately, this card's harder to summon than Dragoon too, so that makes it a little weird. At least until Gaze of Timaeus came out, this card was a little harder to summon, but now it's a bit easier. So, shout out to Gaze. Oh, this is a big one. Now, Master of Chaos at least had the luxury of being like non-dragon fusion material, so it was like unique in that aspect. You could use Illusion of Chaos. This guy is straight up another dragon fusion Dark Magician card. This is the 4th dragon fusion Dark Magician card we've got, and it's comparing to Dragoon, right? Dragoon was the last one. And Dragoon set the bar high, right? So this card just kind of fumbles the bag because of that alone. Let's start with all the fusions have a good art. This is a great art, once again. Riding the Curse of Dragon Armored. Awesome. But unfortunately, this card just doesn't do enough. So when it attacks defense position, if your monster attacks, inflict piercing. That's for all your monsters, but I think it's only once, which is weird. Maybe it's for everything, forever. But still, I don't think piercing, global piercing is still not enough. Once per turn, when your monster destroys your opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. Okay, so that's once per turn. The piercing is global. So I guess if your opponent has a board full of defense mode, great, but I don't know. Typically, this card doesn't really come up. If it's destroyed, you do get the special DM and Gaia the Dragon Champ from hand deck, extra, or grave. That's nice. That means you got a extra deck slot of Gaia the Dragon Champ though. And once again, this card, like the Dark Magicians, if we had a way to pop them in the battle phase, it'd be huge. Like, just being able to go into this, or Dark Magicians, swing, battle phase effect to pop it, like somewhere in Archetype to pop it. I guess the new Timaeus fusion can pop a spell trap. Oh, that's only on the opponent's turn though, damn. See, we can't have nice things. Even popping Eternal Soul would be huge with this on field, and we'd be able to swing for game then by summoning out DM and Gaia. I think it's lethal, it might be close, maybe it's not quite there, but anyway, that was the only cool concept for that card, and you can't do it, so rough. Then we come to the best boy, everyone's favorite, Dark Magician to Destruction, an insane card, but also a lot of people think you can summon it from grave, and then when they find out they can't, you know, they get upset, but that's the facts. This guy is great, but yes, in a vacuum, it's like the new loop for the deck. You summon him, you put him in the grave, you gaze with it, put it back in the extra deck, and then, you know, next turn you do it again, you summon him, you get the gaze target that's about to be banished, and you fuse it away again, or you just link it away. And then you repeat the cycle, he's back in the grave, you gaze him again, and you just keep doing that. It's a great card, awesome card for the strategy. Not quite putting us on par with Blue Eyes though, but a great new fusion nonetheless. Probably not on the level of Dragoon, but on a consistency level, he's the best fusion we make now. Dragoon's the best one for like offense and defense. And then we come to, oh boy, the next Dragon Fusion Dark Magician card. Now you can also make this with any spellcaster, Dark Magician and or DMG, with a dragon or spellcaster. At least it's very generic, I'll say that. Konami made it very generic, that's very nice. But man, this guy just misses the mark. There's just not enough scenarios where you'd want to summon this. Yes, he's unaffected, yes, he boosts his stats and should get huge, but like, what else? Like, Access Code will probably still beat over him because Access Code's just so generically good. He just doesn't have enough going for him, in my opinion. The fact that a pop-up spell trap is only on the opponent's turn as well, come on, let this be a quick effect on both turns, Konami. Like, this card's competing with Dragoon, like, come on. Even being able to pop your own Eternal Soul, as I mentioned, has merit in the battle phase with your other fusions. Like, there is actual merit to that, but no, we can't have nice things. We can only, on the opponent's turn, target spell trap, pop it. So I'm a bit torn on this card because this had the potential to be good, and once again, it's competing with the dragon slot of Dark Magician, right? Dark Magician and a dragon, even though it can be a spellcaster as well. It's competing with that Dragoon spot, and it's like, guys, you gotta be, like, Dragoon's up here, this card's probably down here, you gotta be like somewhere in the middle to be like an option, to be like a viable option. So Konami fumbled the bag a little bit with this one again. Now, I know it's a retrain of Amulet Dragon, and yes, it's a way better card than Amulet Dragon, I'll give them that, but they just fumbled the bag once again. I don't know what else to say. Maybe they could have made this card interact with our Banish. This card could have been the one to recycle stuff from Banish, maybe. But, oh well, they decided to just make all our new cards banish and not have a way to recur that, so... Bit of a strange move from Konami, but maybe we need to play a Bestial Lubellium package to get Branded Regained on the field. But anyway, what are your thoughts on this card? Because I honestly just think it's a little bit garbage. I like it, I love the art, and I just think they could have done something better with it. It's such a good art, and they just kind of wasted it. I'll say at least it's generic, but that's about all I can say. Let me know what you think in the comments. If this bypassed Gaze's protection as well, another reason to play it, but it doesn't, so. Anyway, I think that's all from me for this vid. Timaeus enjoyers, big sorry. Laters.